Ninjas. How are you doing? It's a girl, Owamie, and welcome back to another episode of To Hell and Back. If it's the first time joining us, you must definitely welcome. Please do make sure that you subscribe and obviously hit the bell. I absolutely love you. If you'd like to come be part of our show, there'll be numbers here. Send a WhatsApp and my PA will book you. Now, this is part 2 of the video that I posted, and we are still here with Miss Kamo. And joined where is my English? But anyway, she's also joined by the people from, I have to read it, South African Responsible Gambling Foundation, guys. Now, if you watched part 1, which I feel is very, very important for you to watch it. If you've not watched part 1, drop this video, go watch part 1, and then come back for this one. We were actually talking about just the institution itself, how it helps people, when it was established, everything. Like, we spoke about a lot of stuff. And now we're going to be dipping into the psychology of it. Or rather inside the mind of a gambler, right? And also we're going to be talking to, the people that actually work and help gamblers. So, I don't know. I'm welcoming you guys.
Thank you.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah, you said through the last one.
Yeah,
I'm sorry we did that to you.
No.
Okay, so I would like for you to just introduce yourself first. Okay. Who are you?
Okay, guys. Hi to the ninjas. So I am Bongi Ngobese. I'm a counseling service specialist from South African Responsible Gambling Foundation. Okay. And predominantly my role would be in the telephone counseling room. So first point of contact for when the clients call us.
Okay. And sir?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
Welcome.
The ninjas. So
yes.
The ninjas we know.
It is the ninjas.
Okay. Greetings to the ninjas. Myself, I'm Kodani Masia, so I'm a treatment and counseling specialist, just like she said. So we almost, share the same responsibilities. Difference with me is that I also see clients.
Okay, so you also do like that physical contact?
Yes, so we do physical and online. So depending on the situation of the client, because, in most cases we find that we have clients from a remote area. So by the time, for an example, so you find that I don't know, should I give an example?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so myself, so we have Tondo as our nearest town. So you find that we have a client from where I come from. So for example, Tamasia, and then you are referring a client, and then you don't have anyone around. So, and then they had to travel from the village to town. And then sometimes they will be like, you know what, I don't have money for transport. And then that's where we resort to option B, which is the telephone counseling.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I normally do on my day-to-day basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, guys, we have got our beautiful Miss Kamo, who has been here. This is the 3rd video that you're featuring here now, and so obviously she is someone that is recovering from gambling addiction, and she has been very open with us. And you literally have triggered something that the whole world now is, the whole country actually is just like, oh, I also want to talk. I also want to talk now because of your bravery, And so, as I said, today we're going to be just getting the psychological impact, or rather for us to just understand. I think the first question I would ask is, according to you guys, when is someone addicted to gambling?
Should I take it, Kodan?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Dimala did in the previous video reference about when somebody is now clinically diagnosed to that 3-point or the robot, that in the first stage, it is normally known as that winning stage. This is probably the stage most gamblers or punters quite enjoy, because that's the stage, it's the introduction. Most people in this stage are winning. They're kind of like really enjoying this activity, so they're going back and back into the casino or gambling on the online betting platforms. Moving into that second stage is when, okay, now we're in that amber orange area where if you had originally started saying you were playing with a set amount, that this is my limit now, and once I reach this limit, I no longer want to go back. But if you find yourself that I'm starting to spend X amount extra, or the time where normally it was 2 hours is now becoming 3 or 4 hours, then it's kind of like where you have to sit back and start going, it's starting to become a concern. I don't like this. It's taking too much of my time. Maybe it's time to take a break from this or start evaluating or putting in some precautionary measures. Then you can move to that last stage where you're now clinically diagnosed as a disordered gambler. And that stage is now when it's becoming super problematic and it's having more severe consequences or negative consequences to the gambler. At that point, when you are addicted to gambling, you will gamble irregardless of the consequences. It doesn't matter how it's going to affect you financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or your family. Irregardless of those consequences, you will make a way to make sure you are gambling. And at that point, it's where you find most people at that stage, you are now stealing from work, you're missing work, you are no bad relations with your family, your friends, tend to isolate you, either maybe spending a lot of time alone, a lot of psychological issues, maybe even having suicidal thoughts at this point because you're in that last desperation phase. Then it comes with other issues. Some people are drinking more, you're stressed, you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, and of course that links back into you. If I now know I've stolen money, I can't eat, I can't sleep, I'm not going to work, of course I'm starting to having depressive moments. I'm more anxious as a person and I'm just walking around super anxious, I am stressed, I am suffering, and I'm feeling alone and ashamed. And that at that point is where we can say now, your psychologist can sit there and say, okay, I can start to diagnose you as clinically or disorderly gambler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So how then do we have steps at which someone can be helped to not get to that stage? Is it possible for one to be a gambler and not be a disorder? You said disorder because that's like an addict. For me, I feel like when we get to that last stage, you said what? Disorder.
Gambler. So as mental health professionals, we kind of have this book that we all follow. It's called the DSM-5, and according to it, you're a pathological gambler, or you're disordered or compulsive disordered gambler.
But for just to simplify it to the normal regular Joe like me and you,
it could be someone who's struggling.
It's someone who is an addict now. I think for us, like for us to kind of like just simplify it in terms of like how we understand. Because remember, when you're not a health professional, usually there's no gray line. It's either black or white, you know. So that's the stage where we would now call someone, now you are addicted to gambling.
Yes.
Okay. So is it possible for someone to be a gambler and still be a gambler for years and never fall into that stage?
So I'll take it. So yes, because gambling initially was created to be purely as a form of entertainment. Mm-hmm. And I don't want people to take away, because I know there are some people who genuinely go into the casino and it is their form of fun, and we can't dictate what you might find as entertainment right with the next person. So yes, there are people who purely do it to be fun and not as a source of income. They genuinely find it to be an activity where they find like it's just a recreational activity to pass by the time. But in order for that to remain as a recreational activity that doesn't cause or harm you, is that then we have that term responsible gambling.
Ne?
Yes.
Okay, can I ask, Ne? So let's say I'll direct this to you.
Okay.
Would you say that there's a certain, let's say you are a gambler that goes to a casino, right? Or let's say you still use the beta, right?
Or the online one.
The online one.
Okay.
But for now, let's talk about the casino, right? Obviously, you have to physically go into the casino. Do we have a number of days wherein you can be like, I have a problem? So if you go to the casino once a week, are you still in the green? If you go twice, 3 times, 4 times, 7 days a week, then how can one maybe start to just realize, I might have a problem? Because I think it's the same thing as even if you're using the beta, there are people that are actually betting every single day. You have a problem. I'm so sorry to be the one to break the news. You know, but then when it comes to the casinos where people physically go into these institutions to gamble, at what number would we say, okay, ma'am?
Okay, with that, unfortunately, we cannot go with the numbers, because you can go to casino like every day, but still not fall within either the problem gambler or the disordered gambler. And again, another word for disordered gambler is the addicted gambler. Yeah, to make it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't go with the issue of numbers. So you can go there like every day, all the time, and still be within the first stage of gambling, which, according to Tumelo, so she did explain using the robots, the traffic signs. So it goes also with, you know, your behavior towards gambling. Because after that, when we speak of gambling addiction, so, you know, there is a behavior involved. And again, so we speak, or we rather focus on the responsibility, like, are you responsible enough or in such a way? But all in all, so we don't get with the numbers of the Uroke. Yes, Owamie, so she's going to the casino like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then tomorrow, I mean next week, and then maybe she's going Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like in a row. So we cannot, like ourselves as counselor, you know, jump in and say no, because last week, so you did like three days in a week, and then it means you are on the green, and then the following week you went, you know, all days of the week, and then it means now you are on the yellow or the orange. So, you know, we always
it's complicated.
When
I think that to this particular interview is going to be really complicated, because you guys still need to abide by the rules of the psychology. So you have to say things that are politically correct. Do you understand? Like, you're not here to say your opinion, but you're here to say things that will align with what the book says.
But they studied.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Because for me, I honestly like really struggle. I don't even want to lie. Like, in terms of, so I'll be honest with you guys. I've been into casinos, you know, I've told you this, that if, let's say, I travel, I will not lie. Like, I enjoy that. Okay, if I'm going to a place, maybe it's Durban, I'll go to a casino, and, you know, my baby will be playing games on the other side. I'll be like, my sisters are there with the baby, so I'm going to the casino side, you know, and I always have 100 rands limit. So I'll take that 100 rands, I'll put it in there. It will get chowed. Last, when I was in Durban, I won like 500 rands. That was my, what do they call this? My toll gate money, you understand? But I'm not someone that has ever left my house to go to a casino. Like, for me, as you said, there are people that do it for entertainment. I think it's the same for me. If my child is busy playing games, I'm not going to be sitting there with him playing games. There's usually, and I feel like they strategically do this. There'll always be a place where children play, and then the casino is right there. Have you seen that? Because I've gone to different...
nursery.
Yes, I've gone to different malls. Do you understand what I'm saying? So... I struggle to really think of someone that would leave their house, go to a casino 5 times a week, 4 times a week, all these times, and every week you are going to a casino and you do not have a problem. I really struggle to believe. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I don't have a problem with gambling. I can go 6 months without gambling. I will never leave my house and say I'm going to a casino. I don't have that itch, you know. But when you start having the itch, I feel like that's really honestly where you need to also start to sit down and
introspect.
Yes, you know.
Just to add on, because I know you're saying that for you personally, it's just, it doesn't sound like, why would I be going to the casino 5 times as opposed to the date? So we all have certain activities that we all engage in that you find specifically entertaining,
fun,
right?
for you.
In the casino?
No, just like
in general.
In general,
okay.
we'll each have a specific activity that they engage in that they find enjoyment, right? I like reading, or some person likes running. And the most important thing is that when we're engaging with the things we like, our body is releasing dopamine. So what's happening is when you're engaging in anything you like on a day-to-day basis, our body has this reward system in our body, and then it releases this chemical and it feels good, right? And that's why for most people, with any activities, that just gambling can be highly addictive, but it does feel good, which is why some people would then categorize it as their form of entertainment. It's just important to know that, I know you're saying if someone is going in 6 times, be concerned. I think it's just to say that this is why we say that when you are looking at doing gambling responsibly, it's important to look at your specific life and situation, financially, time-wise. Does it make sense maybe for you have the time? Are you saying 30 minutes? If that is feasible in your life and it's not wreaking havoc, or you still feel like you can commit to your other responsibilities, then we say it's okay. The minute you know that, okay, now I'm exceeding it, that's the problem. So if you feel like responsibly, I can go every afternoon for 30 minutes from Monday to Friday. Hey, we're not here to tell you that you can't do that because it's your form of entertainment. And hey, it does make you feel good. Be conscious of it. Track it. Be so disciplined or militant on tracking and make sure that you stick to your boundaries and limits. Because I know it's different for the next punter or the next gambler. It'll be most definitely different for the next. For some, it's just that once on a holiday. For some, maybe it's just twice a week. For another, it could be 5 times a week. As long as it is not wreaking havoc and it is, you are gauging it, that it's not that now I'm spending all my time in there or on this app. Am I still engaging with my friends and family? If it's sort of all balanced out in your life, then it's still an activity to engage in. Because I know that we can't, for some people, it's like, well, there are people who are training in the gym twice a day, Monday to Sunday. It would be hard to then say, well, that's their form of healthy fitness, but their entertainment also for the others, just so that we can gauge and understand that it is still an activity.
I actually got you with that. I wasn't getting that part.
Right.
Did you have something to say?
Also jump in again. So on the issue of the numbers of you going to the casino, so we, like she said, we have the book, so we call it the Bible, the diagnostic manual book. So this is the book that guides us when we do our assessment, and then we'll give you a chance, and then you'll present your case out of that, and then that's where we'll refer to the book. Okay, out of 10 symptoms that you presented, and then for you to be clustered as as a green, going to the traffic light, the social gambler, and then maybe you need to present with 3. And then going to the second one, which is the problem gambler, and then we take it from 5 maybe to 7 or going up. And then with the disordered one, so that's where maybe we'll say 10. So I'm just giving an example because it's a manual that we use to guide us when we're doing our assessment. So hence I did say it, from my opening response that we cannot assess that based on the number of you going there. So we have to refer back to the book. So it is a guideline. Hence we refer to it as our Bible.
Okay.
So it's our Holy Bible on the counseling part of you. Yeah.
So I would like to know, what would you say is the biggest common denominator when it comes to gambling addicts?
What do you mean?
Like, how it is where we can say that, usually I actually watched this in the morning where they say most people that are funny, most comedians, they grew up in sad homes. So they basically wanted to be funny and maybe make mommy laugh because mommy was sad or there was always fights. So they try to find the funniness, being something that could, So when it comes to gamblers that are addicted, I mean, as you said, you do take their stats, right? You do collect data with them. What would you say is one thing that you found that it's common in all of them or most of them, like majority counts, right?
Oh, okay. With that, we focus on history, on your personal history as a client. So your personal history, it will speak to you as a person from now where you are and then dating back. So that's where, just that, but we do have our assessment way in on the personal history part. So we go from you as a person and then your family members trying to link the direct link between you and your family and your history, because we believe biological that we do have the heredity pathway in, some behaviors are learned and then others are passed through the genetic part. So that's why we do. So we normally, go like all the way back trying to find out. So, to find the main contributor or the main leading factor which led to you, get to the point where you are today. But, with that again, so it also goes back to you with the information that you are giving, because it's a challenge in a sense that we do have clients that, they will hold information back because of whatever the reason that they may have. And then ultimately, she mentioned a lot about the stigma around gambling. Some people, when they come forward and then you give them a chance, okay, here's a table, and then you assure them safety, confidentiality, and then you build that conducive environment so that they be free and able to express the presenting challenges that the challenges that they are really facing. So it's a challenge on that sense. But if the client is able to open up and, in an honesty way, so that's where we'll be able to, to pinpoint, because remember, we have to go back again. So for me to solve the problem, you need to first understand the problem and also its origin. So you cannot, jump into solution-based. Hence, we have to go back through this assessment that we use, focusing on your personal history, and then we also go to you direct, and then we speak of your gambling history, where we will, dig deep into, like, how did you learn about gambling? So others will tell you, no, I learned this from, either colleagues, from friends. Others, they'll say, no, I grew up from a family with, history of gambling, and that history, dating back. So it's something that you either learned, or it's a, biological part wherein the heredity comes in. So it's always like that. Hence, we always have to go back and try to find the link.
Okay, so I think maybe you indirectly answered in terms of, would you say that there's a repetitiveness of people that come in, and when you ask about their childhood, you find that at one stage or another, whilst they were still young, there were some gambling activities that happened, even though you don't know. As she said, it could be tossing a coin and you win something, or you grew up seeing your grandmother go to casinos to gamble, or grew up seeing your grandmother, your aunt play muchaina and stuff like that. So then now, is it something that now it means we need to start also understanding that we need to protect our kids from such behaviors, because a child of a gambler has got high chances of becoming a gambler themselves when they grow up? Would you say that?
Yes. So it means that your child will be predisposed or highly likely to also become a gambler, which is why then through our Taking Risk Wisely program, we've been going into schools and speaking to children from as young as grade 1 right up to matric, and having these conversations, because they are certainly gambling, because of most of them being exposed to it through media, advertising, parents, because it does affect them psychologically and their mental development. So it's important that we have it. And for something that we had a conversation recently with one of our psychiatrists, where she said that even for parents who have been struggling or had struggled with the gambling problem, don't be afraid to sit down with your children, actually have a conversation about them, speak about problem gambling, tell them that I as a parent have been struggling, but this is the steps I've taken to work through it. And that as a child, it does mean that you're likely to also be predisposed. But through proper education and monitoring, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be addicted. But opening that conversation with your child is very healthy, and speaking about it. But yes, it's good that we speak about it.
I think Ms. Kamo will come in on this one. But, the other thing again that I think, and I really, I'm going to just say it as is, right? So for me, I feel like okay, because I'm trying, guys, please bear with me.
I know, we understand.
So I think there's a huge difference with maybe working with people that you can hear this is what they're saying, right? And actually seeing a person. Gambling makes you and turns you into a zombie, in my personal opinion. You are a dead person walking. You have no feelings. You care about nothing. Guys, it's something that I cannot explain to anybody. Like when I tell you guys that this person can come and tell you, my child died, please, I need money now. And you give money, you're like, oh, here's the money, go do this, go do that. In the afternoon you hear, no, the child is fine, the child is at school, why are you crying? How? What happened? Do you understand? So unless if you are talking about the responsible gamblers that I personally have never met, any story of gambling that I've ever heard of anyone that is a gambler, it always ends horrible. And I'm not saying that they do not exist, but the ones I've heard personally, they always ended up horribly. But the time that you were still in addictive gambling, please just start telling us at what age like were your kids? Because I remember when you spoke about when your first time you were pregnant, but the time that you were now addicted, now you could see your inactive addiction. You even spoke about how your daughter once had to carry her shoes to school because she was afraid that her mother was gonna gamble the shoes. You understand? Were you at a point where you could sit down and talk to your child, and how would that talk even go, or your children?
No, it wouldn't have even made sense, because what do kids that age understand with gambling? Okay. I don't think they would understand how bad it was. The only thing with my kids is that, like you said, casinos have got play areas. So the only thing they hated or understood was happening is that I would abandon them for too long. Do you understand? I would leave them. It's either I abandon them in the play area until securities have to come look for me, and they would be pissed by that time. Or it's either I would leave them in the car if I don't have money now, or if I don't have enough points to pay. Because like I told you, that place is very demonic. I don't have any other word or term to use, because you would have 100,000 rands. And just for you to take 200 to pay for the kids, to be in that nursery, it's a problem. You always need to start, you always want to go start inside the casino. So it's either I'd abandon them for too long, or,
Would you say that was only you, or other parents as well that you were gambling with were doing the same thing?
No, there was a time, I think in and I stand to be corrected with the dates, 2016, somewhere there was a lady who forgot the child in the car, and it was very hot because it was during the day. She went in, we have this tendency of thinking that I'm just going to be quick because I just want to put 1,000 rands and I want to make 2,000 rands and I'll walk out. She left the child. The child almost suffocated in the car and died. The child almost died in the car because it was so hot. And by the time the child woke up, it was because of security guards even at that time to go look for her. So those are the things that every gambler goes through. We leave kids.
Every addicted gambler.
Every addicted gambler.
So because today, I really don't want us to touch much on people that are gambling responsibly. Those don't need our help because those are in the green line, right? The people that have got a problem that need help are those that are already on the red. So we need to talk about the psychology of somebody that is in active addiction. Yes. I think you wanted to say something.
So just to explain, especially because she mentioned how you go in there, or you said you go through that time lapse for 2-3 hours, you're like, I don't know what happened. Or I feel like I disappeared for space and time and came back after 4 hours. And I want to explain this because from the clients who we assist in sessions, or from the clients who call us from our toll-free counseling line, I like to explain this so that they don't feel like, for lack of a better term, crazy. Because there's no such thing. And it's very hard because already by the time they're calling, they're feeling very ashamed of what's happened. From family, or just looking at your finances or the negative consequences. But explaining this, I hope that whether this is the aunt, the parent, or the gambler themselves, they're understanding what's happening with the client. So like I explained it, when we're doing things, our body releases that chemical that feels good, right? That dopamine. Normally our reward system releases a hit of dopamine. Activities such as gambling, drugs, or alcohol. So what happens is when we're doing activities that we really like is that our body releases the chemical dopamine. So when you're engaging in these different activities day to day, you get little shots or spurts of dopamine throughout the day. So you eat a chocolate, it's plus 50. But with things like gambling or drugs or alcohol, you can go up to plus 50, 1,000, right? The issue is that your body will build a tolerance, right, over time.
Yes.
So initially, for people who do drink, initially they first drink, maybe they had a can. Maybe the second or third time before they got drunk. Second or third time, maybe they had 4. Maybe by the 8th, they had a 6-pack, then they got drunk. By the 10th, 12th, maybe you can have more than a 6-pack or 12-pack before you get drunk, right? Because your body, your blood chemistry, it's going to build a tolerance. Meaning that over time, you're going to need more and more and more
of that
thing to feel the same high as you did the first time.
Yes.
That shot of dopamine as you did the first time.
Yes.
So I explain that because when people feel like, I don't understand how my salary disappeared in the last hour, or I took loans of 500, or I left my kids. It's not as if you're intentionally wanting to leave your kids in harm. You are not intentionally wanting to steal money from work or colleagues. It's not your intention to harm your family, your friends, your parents. You're not intentionally wanting to put yourself in these positions deliberately. What's happening is that you're just feeding what's happening in your body. You felt that high of winning 10,000 Rand, which felt good. And then you went back hoping that, ooh, I can make this 2 at 10. I can make this 10 at 20. Let me make this 100 at 150. And as you won, you got that shot of dopamine and it feels so good. It's like you're chasing this feeling of goodness. But to sustain that high, playing with 1,000 Rand, for most people, which is why over time the amounts and the stakes increase to feed and to get that shot of high, which is why most gamblers will go from playing with, okay, I have 1,000, then your budget increases, then it's the whole salary, and then now we're taking lows because we're trying to feed that high. So when you're coming and I know people saying that I don't understand what's happening, just know what's happening in your brain, in your chemistry. Understand that you're literally just feeding this high, this addiction in your body that just wants to make you feel good, essentially. You're just trying to make yourself feel good over time.
Yes.
And that's how you can go in that, like you said, that space timeout zone where you're not thinking in that moment, you're just trying to gamble and it feels good. And then it's just like, oh snap, the money is gone. That little high, that anticipation.
You know what you just said? You said what she said. I would say you supported what she said, because let me show you this. She says there's no such thing as a responsible gambler. So basically, if I'm to walk into a casino and I win 1,000 rands, I have a high that I got, right? At time, even if I'm going there and winning 1,000 every day, my high, my dopamine starts, my body basically builds a tolerance for that. So in order for me to get the same level that I used to get by winning 1,000, I need to win 2,000 now. Do you understand? And for me to win 2,000, I need to bet more than what I was betting. If I was betting 500 and I was getting 1,000, then now I need to bet 1,000 in order for me to get 2,000. And they will get to a point where I'm done here, and now I need 3,000 to reach the same level of goodness that I've been getting. So do you understand that question where I was asking to say, is there a person that would be in these institutions and they are gambling and they do not end up an addict? That's the question I have, because the more and more you build tolerance, the more and more you go high.
Yes. So yes, you can still remain responsible, which is why I don't know if people have heard the concept of dopamine reset, because it can be anything in your life. It's not necessarily just with gambling, which is why after time you really need to take a reset from everything. It could be sugar, it could be alcohol, because essentially sometimes you need to tell your body, let's restart, let's go back to zero, because your body needs that releveling of zero. So yes, people can engage in it, which is why you need to be so careful, because like we're saying, it can be so highly addictive with gambling.
How does one be careful? I think maybe you should help us. How does one be careful when gambling in order for them to not get to be a gambling addict? Because I think those are the ones that the majority really need to know. And also, like, you know, because for me, I won't even lie, like I used to, for fun, sometimes go to the casino. I will never set foot, because with everything that I'm learning from you and all the comments, everybody started like me.
Yeah, that's how it starts.
Everybody started like me, like, oh, it's just for fun. I won 500 last time, and I was like, I'm about to go to a next place, and when I get there, I'm definitely gonna go play with my same 100 rands. But high chances are, maybe if I lose that 100, I'll be like, well, anyway, I'd won 500 then. Maybe I can put 200, and maybe I'll win, you know? And that's how people are getting sucked in. So how do people avoid getting addicted whilst they're still in this gambling institutions?
Okay, that can be very tricky, especially for the gamblers, because I wanted to go from this, you know, from a point of view. As a counselor, I've dealt with so many clients and I've heard so many stories, and then I can safely say or confidently say that, you know what, it is simple. You can, you know, either practice what to expect under the social gambler, which is, you know, it's you need to understand what gambling entails, because the other problem that, you know, arise from that is because people are getting into gambling without understanding what really gambling entails. So once the simple part is that once you understand what gambling is all about, hence I think it was Utumelo, she did mention about, you know, going back to the traffic signs, about the green part. So with the green part, we understand, you know what, once you know what gambling entails, and then you know with the green part, so this is where, you know.
What does
know.
gambling entail?
Hmm?
What does it entail?
No, like, what is gambling really? What is gambling about?
What is it about?
So gambling is all about entertainment. It's a social activity. Though you know, we stand, you know, not really stand, but there are so many risks involved. Wengi was explaining about the issue of ages. So once you go there for the first time, and then maybe with your 200-300, and then you bet, so you come back with 1,000, and then you have opened a space for you know, for that gambling edge. So that's where it gets tricky. So to you, and then. As a person who really understand what gambling is all about, and then you'll understand, oh, okay, so I went there for entertainment part, or maybe I went there to try, and then that's it. So I went with my 300, and then I came back with 1,000, and then I have won. And then if ever it happens next week or next month, anytime, so you go back. So you need to remember that I'm going back to gambling as part of entertainment. I'm going there to entertain. And while you do that, so remember again, so you need to gamble within your means. So you don't gamble with what you don't have. An example of this will be a gambler who, you know, for an example, let me put myself in as an example. So I'm a gambler, and then I have got a salary of 10,000 a month. And then I'm going there after a month, and then we go through our statement, and then you find that I spent 30,000 on gambling. So to me, as a counselor, I know it can be a bit harsh, maybe to everyone or your listeners out there, but you know, just that I don't have a simpler term to
use, yeah.
Yes, but you know, once you go above your means, and then it's something that, you know, we have to go back about the responsible part. Am I being responsible enough when it comes to gambling, or I'm doing the opposite? You understand?
So, you know, they say that prevention is better than cure. I remember the day that I went to the casino and I got my first card. You know, there was nothing that was needed from me other than the fact that I'm over 18. They took my ID, you know, they registered me. I was done. I got a card that even had a voucher. I think I remember it was like 50 rands or something. And I won. I think I won like 800 rands, and we used it for breakfast or something like that. You understand? But do you think that maybe it should be a mandatory thing that when you open any whether it's better or it's a casino, they give you that form, like, or they actually have you go through that quiz, and it should be a requirement that even when you're starting to go there, you should know that, oh, psychologically I'm actually a high risk of becoming an addict to this thing.
I think you make a very good point that I think in future that's something we should maybe implement more knowledge, or increasing that, because we do psychoeducation on our side at the South African Responsible Gambling Foundation. But I think with our our stakeholders who we work with, I think we should increase that psychoeducation for clients who come in and open this card, to educate them on knowing that, first of all, gambling is literally just this activity you engage in. You are literally playing the odds. I know they have the messaging there, but it's a game of chance. There is no guaranteed that you're going to win. You're going in there knowing that this is just the game of chances. I am playing or taking my chances here. I might win, I might lose, but I
might get addicted and lose everything.
Exactly. Then I know that also, if I had just knowing my history as a person, am I predisposed to this? And then also knowing that as I'm gambling, what's happening in my body and my brain, so I'm aware, because most people are not aware of actually when I am gambling, what's happening in my body, which then leads to that state where you can go into the addiction because of that dopamine reward system trigger. Yes.
And I think that the other question that I have for you guys right now is that, you know, with talking about this, I'm now concerned. You know, I'm a mom tea, so I've got a nephew who's my son, but he's 10. My child is very curious, you understand? And we are raising kids that are in their iPad era. You know, they watch television. I'm not going to sit there and be watching TV with him. I'm going to obviously sit and do other stuff, or I'm working. So now, looking at the fact that exposure of a child to gambling and all this stuff, and you look at all those slots, you look at all these adverts of gambling, they are all multicolored, which stimulates children's brains. They will write, not for anyone under the age of 18. But I remember when I was young, if they said a movie and they said at 10 o'clock that is 18, that's the one I want. And if my mother dares go to sleep, I'm telling you, I would even like pretend to be sleeping on the couch to make sure she leaves, because I want to watch that one. I didn't care about any movies that were my age, because I want what I cannot have. And I think that is a human behavior. How do we then protect our kids? Because as much as we are not gamblers, these children we drive with them. Billboards are all filled with gambling ads. You know, they are watching YouTubes. We get those. I don't know on YouTube, I don't want to lie, but we get gambling ads almost everywhere. And if I'm not mistaken, I do not know, do you guys know this? But because I'm not someone that watches TV a lot, I won't lie, but even with ad breaks, you would find those ads playing, and they will still say not under the age of 18, but they're putting those ads at times that our kids are watching television.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because we are actually, as I said, that program we do at schools, it's called the gamification of kids. So outside from the advertisements that these kids are seeing, they're colorful, they're engaging. Of course, the children are being intrigued to kind of engage in these things, but there are also these specific gaming applications that kids are engaging in, which can be something of a similar experience to that of someone who is an adult gambler. You know how those arcade games are colorful, and then you give your child money and now they're stepping on that thing and now they're getting the tickets, the reward of, you know, those small things are actually some things that are affecting kids, which is what we're actually going to be researching in the foundation, the gamification of kids. But in what you're saying, how then do we protect our kids? Like I said, I think it's important that we have these conversations with kids, because I think we undermine sometimes kids' intelligence, but also you want to have an age-appropriate conversation with your 7-year-old. But then I think as parents, we also need to make sure as much as we can, because I know you can't block out all the ads in the world or limit, but if you can try limit and pay attention to the things that they're engaging in, because you're thinking it's just an innocent game, but the child is there, they have your banking contact information or banking details on the app, and they're buying set amount of monetary value on this gaming app, and they're engaging in it innocently, honestly, but it is affecting them on a developmental level, because as we go to schools, we tell these kids, and from a young age, we tell them you shouldn't be gambling. You know why? I tell them that this part of your brain makes decisions. You need this part of your brain. This is the part of your brain that tells you that there's a car coming, and should I wait for the car to go or should I stop? That fun part of your brain is literally just making decisions. So I want the kids to know that when I'm engaging in these gambling activities, I don't want to ruin the development of this part of my brain, because I'm going to need it when I make decisions about what choices I do in grade 9. What do I want to study? Should I wake up early? Should I study for this test? So it's important that we have this conversation with the kids. We educate them along with their parents, and we monitor them as much as we can, because it does affect them. There is that whole gamification of children.
So I think this will need an episode on its own, and I really honestly am going to I'll have to get someone. I don't know if you guys will come back or I'll get another psychologist, but I'm definitely getting one, because we need to protect our kids. I'm really worried, because I do take my child there, and I've never ever looked at it in that way. But looking at it now, he gets that dopamine in playing and tickets are coming out. It's like adult gambling. I've never ever thought of that, you know. But now the question I also have, because I also want you to ask certain questions that maybe you might have, is that I know of countries that actually have banned gambling overall. I think China has. I saw that there were countries that they have completely banned gambling overall. My question is, does gambling really have, look at the greater good? I know that, okay, there are jobs that are created, people are working there, people are this and that, but those people are working also at the expense of other people's lives being destroyed. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's a fact. Because in order for the gambling place to be open 24/7, it needs gamblers. And the gambling business, whether we like it or not, it operates on addicts. Because now in Owamie that will go there after every 6 months, if everyone was like me, all gambling institutions would be closed. They wouldn't be able to run them.
True.
So their business basically runs on addicts who are destroying their lives. Would you say gambling overall is anything positive for the community?
Should I go? Okay. Do you want me to take
Okay.
it? Okay, you'll add on.
Okay.
Okay.
Fine.
I think that the industry in itself can, overall, from the funds have been used to fund schools, and the money has been able to help the community. And certainly, I can't even lie, a big part of the industry that money goes back so that I can get paid, then I can assist them. So in the aspect of, yes, can it help? I know it can get dangerous, but it's the same as, I don't want to use the liquor industry, but people do engage in that activity. And I know it's fun. I know this country does have a high level of consumption of alcohol. But again, it would be hard to be like cancel that whole industry, because the effects of it would be devastating, in my opinion. That would affect a lot of people. I think we just need to amp up making sure we protect people who could be very vulnerable to the dangers of it.
Do you understand that? And I'm saying this with the utmost respect and love. We shouldn't even have people like you, because we shouldn't have addicts. That's the part that I'm really honestly saying. I understand, like, you could actually be here working with people that were traumatized from childhood, doing an even greater work than have to rehabilitate people that are being destroyed and destroying themselves within this gambling industry. I think that for me, I'm not saying that we can cancel it, because I know that we can't. It's the same as, I've never seen anywhere where they can sit and be like, okay, so alcohol can have a positive impact on the community because people drink, get drunk, they're happy. There are people that work, there are people that pay, what do they call this? There are people that actually earn a living, through selling alcohol or, making alcohol. We all know that thing is bad for all of us. Like, as much as it will give us certain dopamine or whatever, you get happy that you're drunk, but we can all collectively agree that that whole motto is horrible for us. You choose to go there knowing the horribility of it. And I think that even though they will say that not under the age of 18, how many kids do we see drinking alcohol? It's a lot. Do you understand? It is bad for us, but it's an industry that is there. There's not really much we can do. Some people's poison is alcohol. Some people's poison is gambling. And I think that the thing with the gambling industry is that it has been beautified.
It is beautified.
It has been beautified. You go there, it's colors, it's the atmosphere is very different.
That's why
it's
I
fun.
also feel like even her response, she's just trying to answer on a professional level. She's not really thinking about the lives that are affected. Because when we're talking about gambling and we're talking about somebody that was like me, we're talking about a drug addict. What good
does drugs give to the community?
Because if you take it like that, you wouldn't even answer and try to beautify it or try to make an excuse or shy away from the fact that gambling does destroy the lives of South Africa and everyone and everyone that is indirectly connected. Here I am as a gambler. How many lives have I destroyed because of my one habit?
And I don't want to invalidate anybody's experiences, or even Kemo's experience, or any other South African who's addicted. Just in answering it, I don't want it to make it seem like South Africans who struggled that we should completely cancel it. And I understand that it certainly has affected people. It's just that I just want to shed light into knowing that even with our stakeholders, some of that money that they contribute, it goes back into helping people. But I'm not being ignorant to the fact that, yes, it is very destructive. Yes, it should be stopped. I think it's for people who know that this is the consequences, or I'm highly likely to, I'm addicted, most definitely. But then again, who are we to determine? I think it's tough, because if we were to say then this form of activity should be cancelled, then everything should be cancelled, then there's nothing that should be open, which is tough. Then half of our industries would be shut down. Then that's the difficult part about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's more attacking our problem gamblers. And I don't want to sound political in saying that, but I do want to offer a rounded answer in that question of should it stay, should it not stay. I think it'll depend on the person. Do you find it as an activity or not? And yes, people struggle. It severely affects them. We are the ones on the telephone counseling line, literally day by day, assisting clients who are severely affected and their families. So I'm not saying this as someone who's just like going around. I'm saying this as we are the people at 3 a.m. when you're crying. I am the person who, when you've already drunk the pills, I am the one speaking to you. So I am very aware of the negative consequences.
Yeah.
We are literally the frontliners.
Yeah.
I am just offering in the sense that the funds in this community, it exists for a reason. I know that some of that money can be used and back into the community. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a simple question that is only a yes or no. Don't explain, just say yes or no. That's it. It's just yes or no. You have siblings, right?
Yes, I do. I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. Your younger sibling that is above the age of 18.
No, they're all under 18.
They're all under 8. Okay, let's say the youngest is how old?
She is 14.
She's 14. Let's say, for example, she's 18, right? And she now is like, I'm gonna go to the casino and register and I'm about to start gambling. Would you say yes or no to her? Like, in terms of, if she came and said, Sissy, if you say yes, I'm going. If you say no, I'm not. Which one would it be?
No, because I've not had that conversation with her about the realities of...
Yes or no?
No.
Thank you.
No, because I, with the sister, have not had the conversation with her yet. I wish it was as black and white and straightforward. There's a whole lot of grey in between. I do believe in us, or me, growing up in a very strict African home where there were a lot of restrictions. I'm always the advocate for my siblings to have more open and educational conversations rather than just, no, you're not doing that. So I will open everything up. We'll go back and forth. We'll discuss pros and cons. I'll give you maybe my opinion, but at the end of the day, I want them to make the best choices.
Their own decision.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that for me, I'd ask you, which message do you think, like, I'm Owamie, right? And I've got a platform. Let's say there's a message I need to push out. I want to push out. Would you advise me to push out, gamble responsibly or don't gamble at all? How do you think pushing these two messages plays part or a role when it comes to the community that then gets addicted?
Okay, that's a very good question. Yeah, so from my point of view, or from my professional level, so obviously I do understand that when it comes to gambling, so I don't have that authority to, to go out and say to you, stop, because we once had a case of such situations where, people were complaining that, no, we are being harassed, we are being forced to stop, and I want to gamble. Reason being that I want to entertain myself, I'm bored. And again, they go back to an issue of, this is my money. And like, where am I? So I'm just, I'm a counselor there to assist in case if, you get to that point where you will need assistance, or to a point where maybe we'll have to, shower in the knowledge about gambling so that you do understand what you're getting yourself into. So with that, so I would, put more effort on, on encouraging that if you wish to gamble, okay, it's fine, but do so responsible. And then I'll also, make sure that through psycho-education, make sure that you do understand where to stop, where to put an end to this. Like, through the symptoms, because you also need to understand the symptoms that comes with all gambling activities. You know that, okay, once I get to this point, no, it's a sign that I need to stop or move back a bit. So, yeah.
Can I just add on a bit? So I know when you ask, it's so hard because as us, as counselors, either we're bound by professional work or bound by the ethics that govern us in answering this, but we are still people, right? But I think the most important thing, like you were saying, that it's so hard to say don't gamble or do gamble, do responsibility, especially with our perspectives holding us or what we believe. I think it's just for us to, we want people to have the option, and I know that's why it's hard to say don't gamble, because then there'll be that portion of people who feel like, then why can't we?
Yeah, I think I also misworded it. Not to stop gambling, but don't get into gambling at all, because. Do you understand?
I see you, and I completely understand. The thing is, we receive so many people. The amount of reasons people gamble would shock you. I think the predominant ones are socialization, making money, but there are people who actually find this as a challenging thing for them. It's like a mental challenge sitting at a poker table and playing roulette. For them, they find it very stimulating for them. So the reasons are endless: boredom, isolation, the stimulation. So it's so hard to just be like, don't gamble or never ever engage in it. I think we use that responsible gambling. I think it's just leaving it up to South Africans to then look personally, what is it that you want? Then if you fall in, the ones who want to, then you do it responsibly. And for the ones who like absolutely not, never do it, then they know, then you know this is not the activity for me. Rather not, then rather than put that whole statement to never ever gamble, it will be restricting to those who want to engage in it.
I think, like, you know, when you're saying this, it reminds me of the time that they used to run campaigns at schools when we were younger of HIV. You know, they would come in and they would say to us, don't have unprotected sex. It wasn't there are other people that enjoy having sex without protection. They emphasized on everyone, and it's not everyone that was sleeping without protection and getting it, because it's not everyone you sleep with without protection that has it. Do you understand? But they understood that the dangers around it, they are too high to take a chance.
Which is why they said don't have.
That's why they said, no matter who you are, just go in there with protection. Like all of us, just protect yourself. Because they understand that the dangers and the consequences of you maybe just saying, okay, let me try without, that might have. And these are times before they even had PrEP and all these other medications that are now supporting people that are actually sick. So I feel like for me today, I do understand you guys are sitting here and you are in your professionalism, or you have to obviously go with the scope. But yeah.
All right. Yeah. So the issue of scope, yes, we do understand we are required to to act within our scope. But going back again, just like when you were said, you know, we don't have to be, you know, the police to a point where you feel like, no, they are, you know, taking away my rights to choose. So I want to, you know, I'm choosing to go and gamble. So, you know, that's the other issue that, you know, limit us from going over the line. Hence, we stick with the issue of, you know what, we understand you want to gamble, but go there, do so responsible, and then we pamper you with information so that you do know what you are getting yourself into. So I understand I'm repeating this, but you know, this is the message.
No, I do understand. Yes. But then there's something that Ms. Kemo said, the first part. You said, we all know that every bank has got limits. Even everybody's bank has limits. But she says that in this gambling, some of these gambling institutions, they bypass that.
Not even some. All of them.
They bypass.
I think I've been to more than 5 casinos in South Africa, if not all of them.
In there, you don't have a limit. So even the last time she said she gambled at the casino, she lost 900,000 rands. Who has a limit of 900,000 rands? Because
I think it just depends. I think we underestimate. Some people are really wealthy. We've had clients. There was a client who called in and he said that he wanted to block himself again. He'd reached his 3 million rand limit budget. Some people, I know small, they do have that high budgets. They remember that X amount that you determined how much is comfortable, sure. But if we're looking in our South Africa socioeconomic status, it's not a lot of people. I don't know anybody. It's like, you know, banks will vet you before credit facilities, before they give you access to money. It's not a lot of people. Should our stakeholders or gambling institutions be stricter with these things? I think these are things, like we said, we need to revamp those 2004 things to our current 2024 and our current situation, because we don't want to, again, harm the gamblers. I think that's the
I need to write that letter and have people sign a petition.
Yeah, I think so.
I need to write that. I need to put everything into that document, because I know the things that happen. I was not a multi-billionaire or multi-millionaire when I withdrew that amount. They saw that I withdrew to the last cent. They saw that when I went in there, I had cash of about 60,000 rands. And I withdrew that money to the last cent.
I think then, in this way, it's like using a wool to tame a lion. You don't really want to tame that lion. You're using that wool so that everybody looks at it like, oh, you know, the lion is tamed. You said a statement here that there's a client that called and said, please block me again. I've reached my 3 million rands limit. Why would you unblock him in the first place if this person has already come to you with a problem? And I understand you have to do what you have to do, because that's what the law says. Do you understand what I'm saying? But that's the part where I'm saying that as much as you guys are doing it the best that you can, you are also limited to the rules and regulations that play part, which the rules and regulations, those are literally a wool taming a lion. I don't believe that they really want gamblers to stop. I really don't, because their whole motto runs on addicts. You understand? If somebody has come and said, I'm struggling, block me, it means this person first of all has already recognized that I've got a problem.
Yeah.
But then they called again to say, hey, unblock me, and it's like, oh, you know, even if you're to say, oh, I'm gonna ask you 2 or 3 questions, are you sure? Do you give me permission to unblock you? Do this and this and this? Yes, it's my money, I want to. Okay, unblocked.
They
go
don't
there.
want us to stop.
Yeah,
That is why even the treatment in the casino is not the same. They're not going to treat you how they treat me because of how much you lose and how much I have to offer. There's a privé, even the privés. Okay, now
What is a privé?
it's privé is like the VIP session.
Oh,
They have I think they have categories, because I remember at Emperor's Palace, I'm saying Emperor's because it's a very big casino. That as a dumb gambler, you believe that if you go there, they won't really know you, so there's a possibility of you winning, because now these ones, they won't really see me. You know, those are the mentalities that gamblers have. So there's a privé, there's a table for 50 rands. And there's a table for 10 rands. What they offer you on a 10 rands table is not what I'll get on a 10 rands or on a 100 rands table, because I used to play 50 rands and 100 rands tables. If you see the treatment in there, the type of food we eat, on a 10 rands table, maybe with your points after they've shouted at you, the dealers and the managers, you know, they'll offer you a sandwich. In the privé, I'll eat lamb chops, I'll eat lamb shank, I'll eat seafood, I'll have a platter of snacks, nuts, everything you can think of.
So that whole casino experience. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you think, as someone who used to gamble, I don't know if I'm calling it the psychology of a consumer, something along, you know how in certain grocery stores, it's laid out in that way for a very specific reason. That you start here, you end there, you get to the till, you pick this up.
yes.
Do you think it's important that gamblers walk into these gambling casinos or places having the knowledge of, as someone going in here, there's something they're trying to achieve? Do you think that would have helped the person walking in there? Not that it would have been the National Responsible Gambling Program saying this, but as someone who's engaging in this activity, having had the research or the knowledge of going into the casino, there's this experience that they're trying to create. There's something in my psychology they're trying to tap into. Do you think it would have been useful to know that information prior?
I think if I was well informed, I would have done things differently. That term that I said I hate, the responsible gambling or responsible gambler, that's what we all think we are when we start going. We don't know the bad side of gambling, because even from adverts, billboards, it's very beautified. If I had known that there, like I said on the last interview, I have never done drugs, is because I've seen what drugs do to people. I've experienced, even from a distance. I've seen the damage. I went into gambling, I didn't know what a gambling addict is, because you guys don't put it out there. I'm going to give you a scenario. See, with road accidents, fund, whatever, they always, where you see their billboard, you'll see a car that is bent down to ashes, to show you that if you drink and drive, this is where you're going to end up. But with your institution, or with the gambling board rather, there's nothing like that, because it's beautified. When you go in there, you go in with the mindset that as a responsible gambler, I'm going to do it for fun, and while I'm doing it for fun, there are high chances of me making money. Why is this part of gambling not put out there?
Yeah, exactly. If 1 million people bet and 1 person wins, they will put out 1 person has won 30 million rands. They will never put out 999 people lost. A collective of 10 billion. Do you understand?
Definitely.
I mean, I get that, but I think it's also like a form of them doing their business. And I think that for us now, it's just that thing of, I think it's time that we also, as the society, start really talking and really sharing, honestly, like honest stories of what gambling is doing to people out there. Because at the end of the day, when you don't know, as she's saying, she's someone that has been there with people that are doing drugs. but she has seen them and she has seen what that does, so she won't do it. You know, I was so happy with the video that we made. You know, I even asked her to send me a picture. People are cutting their cards. The ones that they've put in there with the better. Some people are like, listen, I was doing it for fun, but I'm stopping now. And the reason why it's starting to ring in people's heads is because awareness is starting to be shared. You understand? Because without, all we see is that, oh, that person won this much, I also want to win. We forget that a lot more lost.
And imagine, let's have it like this, Owamie. Imagine if there was going to be an advert. Not that I'm saying I'll do it, the advert, but I'm just saying, imagine if you guys have to have an advert and the introduction or the start of your advert is me saying,
gambling destroyed my life.
Gambling destroyed my life. So when you go into it, go at your own risk.
She has a very valid point. I think going back to that point where hopefully we move into the point where our stakeholders, that investment increases and we have more of these facilities investing so that that advertising, that education, whether it's still online, it's still in schools, it's in the community, it's more blatant and not so mystified, because she's honest in her saying that people call us and they laugh when you say, no, you've contacted the wrong number. This line is for people who are struggling with their gambling addiction. It's a joke. It's not well known as something that aggressive marketing as Arrive Alive, Condomize.
Yes.
People still engage in sexual activity. People will still drink. But I guess the messaging is stronger. So we'll definitely push on. Like Kamo says, we want it to be more blatant, more well seen. Well, okay, this
because
is
it's
a gambling
beautified.
addiction. Yeah.
See the adverts when you check everything that has to do with casino. And I unfortunately for me, I had to see that now that I'm a recovering gambling addict, or you know, that even the adverts, see how they'll show a pretty white girl smiling, playing the cards, but when you go into casino, that's not the reality. It's very much beautified. Because they are trying to shy away from the truth of what it really does. Because when you go in there, you're not going to see anyone smiling.
And I think, yeah, you know, when I tell you that people actually turn into zombies, it's because you get that there's a time, I think they even ended up changing that or something, but there are people who, I don't know if they register with different ID numbers. And then they will have cards. This person can be playing 5 machines at once.
Yeah, so what happens is those ones, it's guest cards.
Oh, okay.
It's visitors, guests. You don't even need to register with that particular white card. What you do is you just buy it. Like I'm saying, remember with gamblers, they have different myths and they will believe that because I've been losing so much, I'm not going to use my card because I feel like these people are watching me.
This woman came at me and I felt like she was going to beat me. And I was like, listen, you look like a zombie, ma'am. You're scaring me. I'm not about to fight in some casino out here. She had 5 machines. And now I'm going there. I'm thinking, okay, this one. And I'm looking. I can't see anyone. I'm like, okay, I can remove the card.
Don't touch my machine.
I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I just packed my stuff. And I had to go to another one. So I don't know if
that's why even when you go in there, you see them rubbing machines. You see, like it's weird things happening in there. You see a person rubbing machine. No, I'm waiting. It needs to get hot.
Shame, and that's a part of the.
Do you understand what I'm telling you? This thing of us saying, oh, you know, you can be responsible. Sit down, talk to your kids. These are zombies. I'm a zombie.
Yeah. I think the psychoeducation, I think on our side, we are trying honestly to tell clients that machine by the toilet is not the winning machine. I think we really try. I think we're just really trying to push it more so people know that. Like you're saying, I see addiction like it's like a sickness. Like when you have a flu and you've got your sore throat and you're coughing, we treat those symptoms. It truly is. There are people who are getting that 8, like she said, leaving the next day or at 5, or the security sitting with the children because it's a part of their sickness of addiction.
Yeah.
And that psychoeducation, we're really trying to work hard of. There isn't like a specific machine. This one is hot. It's going to be the one. No.
Before I leave, Owamie, before I leave, I'm going to ask you guys for a favor, all of you. Okay. There's a video. Before you cancel anyone, make them watch that video. Before you start with your educational talks, make them watch that video.
We'll send you the links to her episode.
Oh, okay.
We hope that they, personally, you can even use it on all national television. I won't even need money for that. You can use it for free. Let's see how many people will really even start this journey.
I wish there can be a billboard like this, like
and
at
it is
the casino.
Just play.
Before you enter there, you will see me crying, say, I sold my lungs, then you will know what I'm saying. Because if you don't hear people talk, I think, and the reason why it went viral, remember I kept texting, it's on 1.5. Oh my gosh, what is happening? It's on 1.6 million views, is because I'm the first person. I'm not trying to promote myself or promote Owamie. Owamie was the first person to grant that platform that I know of. Hence, there was nothing special about that interview. But the conversation, for the fact that it was something that people are scared to talk about. The reason why she said she kept on checking up on me is because I went through so much after that. I dealt with things that I thought I had buried. And unfortunately, it took me all this time to deal with them now. And unfortunately, after this kind of a platform, that I had to go back and see, like, I really fucked up. I'm really fucked up. Fucked up. So for me, next time when you guys go and, cancel a person, please show them that video. It's not to make me famous, but they will understand seeing someone that has been through it. I'm not talking about something that I studied. I'm talking about something that I went through. They will relate because, first of all, they know how you start going to the casino. They know that when you exhaust your own funds, you have to go to a mashonisa because it becomes the only option available for you. They know that when you've exhausted all the mashonisas, now you need to start stealing because you are like a drug addict. It's a drug.
The dopamine high.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Looking back at it, I've also been an alcoholic at some point,
And she did say that it usually.
Yeah, and hence I said to them, if you know gin, Gordon's gin, yes. I used to dash gin with Brutal 8. You know how bad Brutal 8 is on its own.
Yeah, I do.
It's 8%, right? Yeah, Brutal 8, you drink one bottle, you are already out. So imagine how much I needed to survive, and the only way for me to survive was through the bottle, because otherwise, as a normal person, I could not sleep. Because of I'm always thinking of how I'm going to get money, because now I've exhausted my funds. I need to think how I'm going to provide for these poor kids, because now I've used their money. I need to think of how I'm going to pay rent to provide roof for these fatherless kids.
And I think that the other aspect, again, that we can talk about as we're about to wrap up is that, as we're saying, it's not even about, I feel like it's also a matter of, it's deliberately made also by the media, which is the reason why mainstream media does not like independent us that are on YouTube, that are going to come out and talk about things like this, because of the fact that we do not get limited. I can go anywhere. I can say it's horrible. You guys can't because you've got scope. But for me, what I want to say is that in the case of Rosemary Ndlovu, I was so shocked that I had to find out from an American blogger that made a video that Rosemary Ndlovu actually was addicted to gambling.
Yes.
We were presented her as somebody that was just evil.
Yeah.
She had nothing behind. She was just killing her family members.
Yeah.
But we find out that no, actually the motive was because she was feeding an addiction. She took all her money, she exhausted everything, and now she started killing her family members in order for her to get the money to go and feed her gambling addiction. You understand? So we know that there are people in the communities doing all this. Some do it for their own beneficiaries, but others are doing it to feed the same addiction. As a community, when are we going to talk about it? How many thieves do we have simply because they are thieving to cater to this addiction? So I think that it is a conversation that we will definitely continue having. These people, I'm sorry.
I need to leave. I have people waiting for me.
Yeah. So I do understand that this is a conversation that we need to continue having. Yeah. But thank you guys so much for actually coming. Your advice was very much valid, and we appreciate. And I feel like it mostly runs for people that are responsible gamblers, but for gambling addicts, I feel like most of them, they would actually struggle because already they are not themselves. As we're saying, it's an equivalent of looking at a zombie. Like the lights are on but nobody's home. So yeah, man, I don't know, ninjas, please do go ahead and comment down below what you guys think of this whole situation. What is your experience with a gambling addiction, whether if you're the gambling addict or a loved one? And I feel like, unfortunately, because of time, we didn't get to actually touch on how it affects family members. You know, it's very sad how children are abused. And I feel like we're going to that stage where, same as a drug addict, we'll now have mothers selling their daughters to feed their addiction. We'll now have mothers selling their children, you know, to feed the addiction. And so I think due to the fact that this is so beautified, that's the reason why we need to be brutally honest about it, because we can't really... It's just really sad. I know I spoke too much on this video. I'm sorry. You know.
Our also closing remarks. Yes, I for one, I do understand, and Sis Kamoso, I did, understand what you went through, and I'm sorry you had to experience that, firsthand. But with us, so we're not here also not to defend the casino or the gambling world. So we are here to present what we offer. In case if you get to that point of, I'm drowning in debt. I mean, I'm an addicted gambler. So we are here to offer that knowledge, that help, so that, you are down and then we are up. So we are ready to, to offer our hand, and then we help you, you get up on your feet and then you move on.
Yeah.
And you also made reference on the first session about, not giving up, making reference to Siskam. Yes, so that's where we come in. So we, when hope is lost, and then that's where we come in. And you know what? We are here. So we are here to support. We are here to help. And yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah.
So just that, sometimes in life, we also need to understand that there are some cases, that goes beyond our control, and there's nothing we can do about it, unfortunately. And again, going back to us, we have our own scope. So once I go over the scope, and then, it's a problem, but we do understand the challenges
that are happening. I think that I also missed a bit of a point there, of the fact that you guys are there to help a person that actually says, I have a problem and I need help. That's what you guys are there for. And I think that is great, because we have people that are like, we've got problems but we don't know where to go or what to do. So please, if you know that you've got a gambling addiction or you need help for a loved one, please do contact them. We'll make sure that all the contacts are on your screen from the beginning. Even now, I'm sure there'll be someone here from Owamie. I love you guys. Okay,
I'm so sorry to cut
No, it's okay.
Just for the clients, Kemo, thank you so much for sharing your story. Don't ever feel ashamed of what you did, or less of a parent of a child. I think that's the biggest message I always send to my clients. Your journey to recovery, for anybody in it is not linear. There will be up and down. Don't be discouraged if you relapse. On our side, remember, our sessions are completely free for the family referrals, for people who are struggling or want to attend. And another thing that I want to, especially for Kemo, that we have group sessions every Saturday from 10 to 12 for people who are feeling like they're still working with their family relationships, but they're lonely and they want to at least be in a space where you can resonate with other gamblers who might be going through the same thing. So you can just WhatsApp us on our line or call us, and be able to add them to our WhatsApp group so they can join our support group sessions on Saturdays from 10 to 12. It's just a space that sometimes you just need someone to talk to. Maybe you want to speak to our counselors just because you're not feeling well. Like I said, recovery is not the straight line. It's up and down. It takes time. It's literally choosing every single day that today I'm still choosing my recovery from gambling. So they can please do not be afraid to call us and utilize our services. They are free and we're available on any holiday, on any time of the day. It's completely free, remember, for problem gamblers, for those family members who also want to. We are available to help.
Okay.
Can I please say something?
Yes.
Ninjas, thank you so much. All of them, the love, the support. I think that's why I was so overwhelmed the past few days, because the messages, the love, the friendships that I made online with people that I had never met, that said you didn't fail, it was God using. Just those messages for me were a big deal, because I don't know the last time I really had so many people or someone say to me, I love you, keep going. That has motivated me. Even when I wanted to cancel for this session not to come because I didn't want to deal with them. I I just had to push myself. And also to you, thank you so much. You know, thank you. I love you with all my heart. God bless you. God bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you, Mommy.
Thank you, ninjas.
I love you too. And yeah, my ninjas, that's how we roll. So yeah, man, I know that this conversation is still going to continue. But yeah, they are here for you guys. Their numbers is toll free, so it's free, guys. You don't have to pay. You can go ahead and call them. And as a family as well, you guys do support families that are dealing with addicts, right? Yeah. So if you are also going through it, because we know we go through it with our family members, then please call them and they will actually offer some support and perhaps maybe how best to deal with a family member that is going through a gambling addiction. But anyway, ninjas, from Owamie Nation, I love you guys so much. Stay blessed, guys. Thank you so much for taking your time out and coming in and sitting and having this open discussion.